Good day, everyone. Welcome to another agricultural science class with Mrs. Ogoyinka Taiwo. And today we'll be discussing the topic processes of crop improvements. Under this topic, we'll talk about the processes of crop improvement, advantages and disadvantages of processes of crop improvement, methods of improving crop productivity. Processes of crop improvement. Number one, we have introduction. 2. Selection. 3. Breeding or hybridization. So let's talk about introduction. Let's start with introduction. Introduction involves the importation or introduction of some varieties of crops with desirable characteristics into areas where they have not existed before. Introduction involves the movement of crops from its origin or supposed center of evolution to another region or area where it can adapt. Is moving from a place, from its origin, to a place, a region where it can adapt. Crops with desirable qualities are identified in their centers of origin and then procured. Such crops are then introduced into the breeder's country for testing and multiplication. They are introduced into another country where they have not existed before for testing and multiplication. Advantages of introduction. It helps in bringing a new variety to a new area. It may enhance greater productivity. It may perform better if there is a better climatic condition. The past of the crop is usually absent in the new area. Another advantage is that it can also perform better if there is better soil condition in the new area. Disadvantages of introduction. There is possibility of introducing new crop diseases. It can also introduce new pests to the new environment. The introduced crops may not be able to adapt to soil condition of the new environment. So move to the second process of crop improvement, which is what? Selection. When we talk about selection, selection involves the artificial picking of crops with desirable characteristics which are most favored by the environment. Selection involves the picking of crops with desirable characteristics which are most favored by the environment. Selection can be natural and it can be artificial. Natural selection involves the ability of a crop to survive a wide range of environmental conditions and still remain standing, while artificial selection involves the use of man's intelligence to retain crops with desirable traits on the farm. And artificial selection is divided into 4. We have 4 methods of artificial selection. We have mass selection, pure line selection, pedigree selection, and progeny selection. We have 4 methods of artificial selection: mass selection, pure line selection, pedigree selection, progeny selection. When we talk about progeny selection, that's when crop plants are selected based on the performance of their offspring. Pedigree is when crop plants are selected based on the performance of their ancestors. Mass selection is when crop plants are selected or rejected on the basis of their own performance or merits. Advantages of selection. It ensures that only the best naturally available crop is grown. Crops with desirable qualities are selected. It reduces the spread of diseases and pests. Disadvantages of selection. Selection is tedious and time consuming. Selection is tedious and time consuming. It is very expensive in terms of time and money. Its selection requires expertise which may not be available. And lastly, we'll talk about the third method, the third processes of crop improvement, which is breeding or hybridization. Breeding or hybridization. Hybridization is just a method by which an offspring is produced through the crossing of two different plant varieties of the same species. Breeding or hybridization is the method by which an offspring is produced through the crossing of two different plant varieties of the same species. Types of breeding. We have inbreeding, we have pure line, and we also have the crossbreeding. When we talk about the inbreeding, this is just the pollination and fertilization of closely related crop plants in order to retain certain desirable characteristics or traits, which can lead to pure breed or pure line. Then we'll talk about pure line, another type of breeding. A plant which has been self-fertilized or crossed continuously with its closely related species for many generations to get a desirable quality is being referred to as pure line. Pure line will always reproduce itself with great precision. Crossbreeding. This is the pollination and fertilization of unrelated crop plants belonging to different breeds. Advantages of breeding. Offspring can withstand the variation of environments. Progeny grows more rapidly. And also, offspring can withstand variation of environments. Progeny grows more rapidly. Disadvantages of breeding. It could lead to inbreeding depression. There is drop in production or yield of crops in terms of quality and quantity. Methods of improving crop productivity. How can crop productivity be improved? 1. Through crop improvement methods. That is, our introduction, selection, and proper breeding. 2. Planting at the proper time. 3. Adopting of better cultivation methods. 4. Use of manure and fertilizer for good soil fertility. Control of pests and diseases of crops. Use of resistant varieties. That is, because some crops they are hardy, they can withstand pests and diseases. So when you use these pest resistant crops, is another method of improving crop productivity, and also use of good crop varieties. Use